In this video, we're going to talk about what is the millennial reign of Christ. I mean, at the end of the day, what is the actual point of this 1,000-year period that is going to be subsequent to the 7-year tribulation period that we read about in the book of Revelation? What in the world is God going to do? What are we going to do during this time? And what is the purpose of it? Notice that Paul says this: if we endure hardship, we will reign with him. If we deny him, he will deny us. There are promises throughout the New Testament and the Old Testament that discuss this idea or talk about this idea of the saints reigning and ruling with Christ in his kingdom. Notice it also says here in Revelation 2, to all who are victorious, who obey me to the very end, to them I will give authority over all the nations. They will rule the nations with an iron rod and smash them like clay pots. Now, John also saw this: and you have caused them to become a kingdom of priests for our God, and they will what? Reign on the earth. Jesus also said the same thing in Matthew 5. God blesses those who are humble, for they will inherit the whole earth. Notice it says here in Romans 8, yet what we suffer now is nothing compared to the glory he will reveal to us later. For all creation is waiting eagerly for that future day when God will reveal who his children really are. Against its will, all creation was subjected to God's curse. But with eager hope, the creation looks forward to the day when it will join God's children in glorious freedom from death and decay. For we know that all creation has been groaning as in the pains of childbirth right up to the present time. So we see very clearly here that the creation itself is crying out to God and saying, hey, we too want to be freed from the curse of death and decay. And it is of the belief of theologians that this is going to happen in the millennial reign. Notice in Isaiah 11, we see God reversing the curse that he initially placed on creation. It says here, in that day, the wolf and the lamb will live together. The leopard will lie down with the baby goat. The calf and the yearling will be safe with the lion, and a little child will lead them all. The cow will graze near the bear. The cub and the calf will lie down together. The lion will eat hay like a cow. The baby will play safely near the hole of a cobra. Yet a little child will put its hand in a nest of deadly snakes without harm. Now, obviously, we know there's never been a time in history where you can play with snakes and bears and lions other than before the fall of man in Genesis chapters 1 and 2. We understand that in the 1,000-year millennial reign, God is going to reverse this curse, and we are going to enjoy creation as it was intended for us to enjoy. And the fifth and final group of promises that God is going to fulfill during the millennial reign are, promises that God has given to his son, Jesus Christ. You see, God has promised that Jesus Christ is going to be the King of Kings, that he's going to have an earthly, not just a heavenly, but an earthly kingdom. And from that earthly kingdom, he is going to rule, he is going to reign and rule over the nations as an earthly king. That has not yet been fulfilled, because when he came the first time, he came as a precious lamb to be slaughtered. He came as a carpenter. During the 7-year tribulation, he's going to come back as a lion seeking to execute judgment. But in the 1,000-year millennial reign, he's going to take his place as king. Notice it says here, you will conceive and give birth to a son, and you will name him Jesus. He will be very great and will be called the Son of the Most High. The Lord God will give him the throne of his ancestor David, and he will reign over Israel forever. His kingdom will never end. Now we know that the throne of David has always been located in Jerusalem. So if this is going to be fulfilled, there has to be a future time in history where Jesus is going to be sitting on the very throne of David, executing judgment as the king. Notice it also says here in Daniel 7, as my vision continued that night, I saw someone like the Son of Man coming with the clouds of heaven. He approached the Ancient One and was led into his presence. He, speaking of Jesus the Messiah, was given authority, honor, and sovereignty over all the nations of the world, so that people of every race and nation and language would obey him. His rule is eternal. It will never end. His kingdom will never be destroyed.